Howdy folks, and welcome back to Mile Arc. Today we have a special treat because I'm not alone today. Today we have a real-life 738 pilot with us who works for a major airline that we will not mention, and it's not Southwest either. We're just using the Southwest livery. And he is going to take a look at the default 737-800. I know everybody's screaming right to the comment sections to say, why doesn't he try the ZIBO? Why doesn't he try the ZIBO? Maybe someday. But the point of this video is that he's just going to look at the 738 in its complete default form as X-Pane offers. I won't say any more about where he is in his career. I'll let him offer that information if it comes up. But you'll be hearing two voices for the first time on this channel, and I'm so excited to have a real pilot with me today. This is his very, very first consumer sim experience. Of course, he's been in the professional sims because he flies the plane. But as far as a consumer sim, he's never dealt with one, so there's going to be some little technical issues that we'll work out and everything. But otherwise, we're going to hop inside and we're going to take it away. So the seat is the right side because that's where you sit, right?
Absolutely.
You're a first officer for an unnamed airline, but it's the big dogs, right? You're flying with the big dogs. So here's what it looks like in the simulator. We already did some pre-video commentary, and he's pretty impressed with the detail. And he said this is the view he gets. So I adjusted the view to what he sees, because I've always wondered that, you know, because I always make my view up a little bit higher so I can look over the dash a little bit. But I've never been in one of these, so I'll let you kind of take it away. So how would we start this thing?
Yeah, no, Sean, it's good to be here. The first thing I noticed is bringing that view down a little bit for the glare shield. I like. There's a kind of that angle on the glare shield. I like to be looking kind of right down that edge of the glare shield. And that's kind of a good seat position. As a pilot, seat position is actually very important to getting consistent landings.
Okay.
So if you're up too high, you're down too low, too far forwards or back, it can affect your sight picture. And that's really what the difference between not necessarily a safe landing, but just a smooth landing or a little bit of a bump. You know, it could be 3 or 4 inches.
Sure, because you memorize that sight view, and that's how you.
It's pure muscle memory for the last couple seconds.
Sure.
So, should we get this thing started?
Yeah, let's see how this works.
Right.
Now, keep in mind, this is a default free aircraft, so
hey.
I'm sure 75% will not be modeled, but
awesome. Well, the first thing I'm noticing here, we've got one blue light, and that's what they tell us when they're powering the airplane down. That's what we're looking for.
Okay.
So, and you know, it's interesting, working on the line, very rarely do we see an aircraft completely powered down. Normally,
that's what I've heard. Normally, there's something already going on.
Yeah, normally someone will come and fire it up for us.
Okay.
Beforehand. So, bring the battery switch here to.
Got to click in exactly the right spot.
Maybe, you know, the better spot.
There you go.
There we go. Bring the guard back down. Battery's on. And there we go. Now we've tripped the generator power on.
And also, as an aside, we are using live speakers for this, not headphones, so if there is some audio bleed in the quality through the microphone, just forgive me on this one time.
So the first thing I'm going to come up here and do is do an align.
Oh, those probably...
They probably auto-align.
Yeah, on the sim. Yeah.
All right, so in the real airplane, that's what I would do. It looks like actually we are aligned. It seems like it knows our position. Those are the IRUs, inertial reference units, or 80 IRUs, some people call them.
And that would be the thing that takes like 16 minutes or something?
Yes,
okay.
Yeah, depending on your latitude. And for the first flight of the day, we always do a full alignment.
Okay.
Thereafter, it's aligned closely enough that we can do a quick align.
Okay.
Or anytime you're going outside of radar coverage, you do a full align.
Okay.
So out over Bahamas and...
oh, sure.
Anything out towards Bermuda. We do a lot of the waters routes.
Okay.
Where I work.
Okay.
All right, let's see here. This is slightly different because all these boxes are proprietary.
Yeah, the FMS is going to be...
Well, let's just plug a basic route in here. In Portland. Whoops.
I did one FMS flight, and I learned it, forgot it, haven't touched it since. But because everybody knows who watches my channel, I am an old school slant alpha. Use GPS sometimes, but FMS is way beyond what I normally do.
So normally what we do is while those IRSs are aligning, this all will auto load for us.
Okay.
We just download it straight from the company's server, and it's all right there. So I'm just gonna throw in one fix Battleground VOR, which is just north. And we never pick our own routes.
Okay.
It's all
company route, right?
It's all filed for us, so it's Here we go. Portland, direct to Battleground, direct to Seattle. And I'll go to the DEP-R page, as we like to call it. Pick a departure. Let's see. Let's go with 10 left for the departure runway. And the Portland 1 departure. Execute that.
You make it look so easy. I watch all these tutorials of simmers doing this on YouTube, and I get more confused. But this is your career. These make it look so
and
easy.
what's funny is you know these button pushes almost, since these are called line select keys on the left and right side, and you know the patterns in your head to grab the weather, to grab a position report, and you can almost do it without looking at the box. And
did you say yours are actually proprietary?
Yes, there is proprietary software loaded in, so it can. So if you go to, it's the. Let's see which key is it. No, what is a menu key here? Which is this one. Well, that is a key that says menu on my box, but it brings up ACARS, which is company communications, and there's some links between them. Okay, so now we have a basic route. The legs page says we're going to depart 10 left. Vectors, which is the Portland 1 departure, and then starting the Hawks arrival, which starts at Battleground. Then we've got these arrivals going into Seattle. A very important part of our pre-flight is verifying all of these with the chart to make sure that there's not been any changes.
Sure.
So now we'll go to init ref. Let's see.
And at some point, you would expect vectors from ATC for your final.
Correct.
Your final waypoints or even approach or whatever.
Yes, and this page is actually all different to me because this would all have a lot of weight data actually on here.
Sure.
Let's see.
And then as first officer, would this be your job, or is this what?
It depends on the pilot flying.
Okay.
No, different airlines do it differently. The pilot monitoring normally does all of the overhead panel flows, which I'll just go through here really quickly. We would check literally basically every button you're going to check. I like these all to be pushed out, but I think those don't do anything. And very rarely do we look up here. Let's see. I'm just going to do a cursory look. We want the yaw damper on.
Got to find that exact click spot. There it is. See, that's more difficult in on sim. It's flipping buttons.
Yeah. Let's see. We're gonna make sure these passengers are happy here. Oh, maybe those probably don't work. We would turn the in-flight entertainment on for them, and you wouldn't believe how much when the Wi-Fi goes out. Boy, you're in a metal tube, 37,000 feet, going 570 miles an hour from San Francisco to Kennedy, and the Wi-Fi goes out. You'd think it's the end of the world.
Yeah. And that's a newer thing. Like, I haven't been on a commercial airliner in, it's going on 6 or 7 years, and no one had Wi-Fi even 6-7 years ago. No one cared.
Sure. We turn these window heats on for added strength. Actually, the windows are actually a little more flexible when they're warm than versus cold.
Sure,
so if we hit a bird at 250 knots,
there's
a little bit more protection. Get that seatbelt sign on. We can do ignition on both, and I think that's probably the only position. Normally we switch it back and forth. That way it uses both ignition channel, or both igniters. Oh, wait. No, there's a light underneath. You can't see it. It's behind the glare shield, but there's a light for this compass. Today, these need to be on there. I would test my CVR. We like our logo lights on. We like to show off who we are. Of course. It's free marketing there. I don't know if this trim air works, but this panel I probably spend most of my time on as a first officer, adjusting the temperature. 737, I am the only person that's adjusting the temperature for the whole airplane. So flight attendants call me, I do my thing.
And then keep in mind, those of you screaming ZIBO mod, and just the ZIBO, I prefaced him what the ZIBO mod was before we started. And all this stuff probably would be modeled, but it's a series of files that I have to download and organize. I just haven't done it because I don't fly planes this new. But maybe sometime I'll do the ZIBO mod and have it come back. But
it'd be fun.
I just want to see what the default bare bones has to offer.
Sure.
Given I know nothing about the modern jets.
And you know, it's just that first glance. This seems like a very detailed, very accurate sim. Since our route of flight today is pretty much going to be to the north.
And just so you know, he has his work computer with him, with his routes and his checklists off to the side. Which is the coolest thing ever.
Checking them right now here. Let's see. Let's say Battleground. They normally want us to cross it at or above 24,000, but I don't think we're gonna really get that high. So I'm just gonna say let's go up there at fly level 200.
Okay.
It's a mostly north route, and depending on the traffic, you could get an even or an odd route.
Sure. Yep.
Let's see. Landing altitude is 400. You know what?
You
Can we? Yeah.
Want me to move you down?
That'd
so
be
you can-
awesome.
Oh, we have a seat in our way, so.
Oh, there we go.
And then just right-click
slide
it.
up. Sweet. Let's go 450 is the field elevation. It's not very important. We're not going to hurt anyone's ears in the same.
Sure. right. And I have like asphyxia or whatever turned off or whatever that's called.
Oh yeah.
Passing
Oh, that's
out.
a real mod. You can.
Yeah, you can red out and black out. Yeah.
Wow.
Yep.
All right. Let's see. We're going to take off on. We just kind of do our flow, and normally the pilot monitoring would do all this. Whoever's not flying would start from the top, and you just kind of work your way down the panel.
Mm-hmm.
This is very accurate as far as I can tell so far. So a lot of course setting,
Sure.
which you can almost do with your eyes closed
Sure.
sometimes. The outer knob here is the bank angle.
Okay.
When you go to heading select mode, and the inner one sets your
Okay.
course.
This is the same autopilot then?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Because I know that's a common complaint in simulators. People will say, this isn't the actual autopilot. And the designer says, well, I wasn't able to put this one in. Like the B1900D is notorious for having all the wrong stuff. But I just make do. People complain that the cabin pressure in one of the airplanes isn't accurate. I'm like, it's just cabin pressure. But,
Sure.
you know, I mean, it depends. You know, that's the thing about flight sim is it is what you make of it. You can play like an arcade game, or you can actually use it to keep up on your your currency. So it just depends how detailed you want it to be.
It's the difference between combat simulator and. Let's see. I'm gonna say they cleared us to 5,000. And we just set this just because we're professionals. Like these courses really aren't doing anything for takeoff unless you're doing a HUD guided takeoff, which I don't see. My airplane has a heads-up display.
Yeah, and the better payware aircraft all have that too. Well, actually, there is. I think there's a 2D HUD we can call up if I know the key combination, but
Yeah.
we're not worried about it. How often would you use a HUD?
It's really for only very low visibility takeoffs or landings. I actually did a. First officers never do a low visibility takeoff. The captain's always in the boat, but there's different procedures and call outs for us.
Okay.
So we did one in Portland the other morning.
Okay.
I forget where we were going, but.
And then as first officer, do you ever land the plane?
I do, yeah.
Okay.
Basically we take turns.
Okay.
Unless there is an issue with weather. I'm not going to go through all there's all these tests I would do with the fire system, and that gets a little bit involved.
Right.
But I'm just going to say this stuff down here is good. I'll just give us a squawk code of something.
So you take turns landing, and then what ILS is? I know I'm using the wrong term, but the 738, you can't do Cat 3B, or can it?
We don't.
That's my
break
favorite.
Out, yeah, we can do Cat 3. We don't break out A or B.
Okay.
On this one, our lowest minimum is 50 feet on the radio altimeter.
Okay. Which is pretty darn low when you're moving 100 and some knots.
Yes, yes, it is. And when you see the runway, it's a flare, and you're. I'm gonna start the APU here. So just go start. Wow, it's a very fast start.
Because it's the simulator.
You know, it's interesting. You learn the different. High altitude engines start a lot slower.
Yeah.
Temperature has a big effect. There we go. APU bus is available, so we'll bring them online.
When I fly the 727, I was trying to take off in Argentina somewhere. It was like 13,000 foot runway, and I couldn't get it to start. So I had to go to the Discord for FlyJSim, and I'm like, I just won't start. They're like, oh, you got to build up the pressure about 30 psi, and I'm like, oh, I've never done high altitude. Didn't realize there's a difference.
Wow.
I didn't know that. Because some of the planes aren't simulated that detailed. You just you turn the key and go sometimes.
Sure. Let me see if I can get some speeds to load in here.
Because you never take off 100%, right?
Never. I mean, you can, and we have on a contaminated runway or with a short runway, maybe say like San Diego.
Okay.
Sometimes, but normally we spend a lot of our time actually doing performance data.
Yep.
Calculations.
And there's actually websites for the sim where you can put in information. It'll feed back your performance data for you.
Wow.
which is really cool.
You know what? I'm not sure how. Let's see, route menu. Very realistic. I like to turn waypoints off because they're very annoying. I like to have the weather. Weather is off at the gate or anytime they're fueling, just for safety of the ground personnel.
Is that because the radar spinning on?
It is, yeah.
Okay.
The worry is that it could cause static electricity
sure.
buildup on something. Normally, I'll have terrain mode on. It
This
doesn't look
this
like
won't
it's
be
loaded,
modeled, yeah.
But let's see. Data shows data for different waypoints. Let's see. Airport shows you airports. We like to have that on just in case of a diversion.
Yep.
You can kind of have some situational awareness. Let's see here. Let's just say we're gonna be 2993.
And we have one of my studio cats meowing in the background. A third of my videos have cats meowing in the background. I've just accepted it. Oh, I know why. I shut the door and there's all these cats down here and they want to get out.
Oh, they're stuck down here.
They're stuck. That's what's going on. They're not near their food.
All right. I am not sure how to load in our performance data, but what I can do. Let's see. You know what?
That might not be modeled.
I don't think
either.
that's modeled. We never use those unless it's an emergency and our FMS is broken. Yeah, the N1 set seems to work, but because normally we have bugs on the side here that give us speeds and everything.
Yep.
We might just do a little more of a raw data kind of.
Yeah, that's how I do it. I just kind of punch
Yep.
it. When it comes to these planes, I just punch it and go.
Sure. Well, you know what? I think we're pretty much ready for pushback here.
So
Normally,
when you're ready for pushback, I'll show you how the pushback works. It's kind of interesting. There's actually a plug-in for it
Oh, what?
that I think I have installed, or else we'll use reversers like in the 70s.
Well,
Ready for pushback?
yeah. Let's go ahead and do
so
a
if you
pushback.
go up to the top, if you let go, just
Sure.
move the mouse up to the top, and
Okay.
if you get in the right, there you go.
Oh.
Go to plugins.
Yep.
And then go down to better pushback, and then pre-planned pushback.
Pre-planned pushback.
And now you get to move that around, and then it tells you on the right, you click and drag, and then you spin the mouse wheel to change how you want it. So you can click right there if yours is your first position, and then you can move that around, and then spin the mouse wheel to turn. I know
I'm not a tug driver.
Everybody's groaning at us in the comments.
There we go. Now we'll turn it there.
Actually, I think you want to turn it before you. Oh no, I see.
What
Okay,
about that?
I got you. That'll okay. Yeah.
That's pretty standard there. And
Okay.
then how do we stop it?
Then to stop, hit enter.
All right, Captain, got the
Whoa!
directions.
There we go.
When you're ready.
Here we go.
So now, okay, so I think you release
I need to release the
parking
brakes.
brake, which is
yeah.
this button, and then he's gonna drive us. So we hop outside.
Yeah, let's do
He
that.
should drive around and let's see, where is he?
That is really cool. The APU, heat.
Oh yeah. Oh, there he is. There's the tug.
Oh, look at that. He came out of the
So
building.
the APU. I thought the APU was under the wheels.
It is. It's right there in the tail.
Okay.
You've got the an inlet. The inlet is on here on the right side with the little NACA. I think it's. I don't know. NACA port might not be the correct term, but
Okay.
the inlet's there on the right side of the airplane, just below the right
yeah,
All
okay.
elevator there.
looks like the doors and hatches are closed and we're ready to connect. Go ahead and hit that parking brake when you're ready.
There's this button there. Okay, I see the inlet. Yeah, are you talking
Yeah,
about
yep.
that thing right there?
Correct.
Okay.
Yep. That's the inlet, and then you've got the outlet, and then another cool air, kind of an air cooling port above the.
I guess I thought it was in the wheel well because maybe the 727 is in the wheel well.
I think you're right. I think you're
Okay.
right. Never flew a 7.2, but.
Let's see. Can't from this angle. If I did free camera, you could actually see him picking up the wheel. There's all these animations, which is great.
Wow.
But I kind of wish there's a skip ahead button. You know.
Sure.
Maybe there is. Let me know in the comments if there is. I don't know this plugin at all. I just know that I need it for the 727, which is the only reason why I put it in.
Welcome
But
aboard, Captain. Toes connected, bypass pins inserted. Go ahead and kill the parking brake when you're ready to go.
we already did. I thought.
Yeah,
Here comes the pushback.
the bypass
Light 'em
pin is
up.
pretty important, especially when you use a tow bar. 'Cause if you were to grab the tiller with the tow bar connected, you could just swing a 300-pound rod across the rim.
I bet. So now, what normally happens when you're being pushed back?
So you're being pushed back. Normally, right about this time, you've got your, we call it a, it's our weight and balance information.
Okay.
And that comes to us digitally right through ACARS. I print it out, hand a copy to the captain. He reviews it, selects which data he likes to use. We normally like to use the most, the data that's least hard on the engine. So whatever we need to clear the runway safely and legally without burning the engines too hard.
Yep.
And the captain can drop down to more performance if he wants to based on the situation.
Okay.
So normally he'll choose the data that's most advantageous for fuel, engines, and performance. And then I'll go ahead and load that in, and then we do a verification process. None of that's in the box here just because it's company proprietary, but I would be reading stuff from the box. We'd be verifying flap and trim settings. Actually, we wouldn't have set any flaps this time, but we're verifying what we're going to set them to.
Okay.
And then normally the tug driver would say you're clear to start engines.
Okay.
So if you'd like, I'll go ahead
Yeah, go
and
ahead.
get them running. See if I can find where these. Maybe the packs don't turn off.
Probably not.
Real life, we turn the packs off just because the engines you'll maximize the bleed pressure.
Yeah.
And then Apu Bleed, I'd open that up. Let's see, normally this.
So
one.
this is just like the 727. This part.
Yeah, it's probably the same panel. We open this one up.
Okay.
Both packs would be off. Isolation valve would be open, and then engine bleeds are on. They don't need to be on, but we just leave them on so we get power. And then I'm gonna bring engine start to ground. And then down here, I'm going to observe that we get rotation on the N2. This is a very fast start. Very fast start.
That's funny.
This is maybe 3,000 feet below sea level.
Okay. Below sea level.
So I'm watching for...
down here, go ahead and set your parking brake.
Sweet. Parking brake set.
And we're disconnecting the tow. Give me just a moment.
That's max motoring. I'll bring this guy up.
Okay.
And let's make sure that's all the way up. There we go. And then I train my eyes up here, make sure that both of these spar valve lights turn off.
Okay.
And then I come down here and I would have hacked my clock. But the engine's basically already started. I'm watching for this to turn off, that starter valve open, and then this valve is going to click back to the automatically closed position. So we'll watch for the start valve to automatically.
Oh, do the disconnect hand signal for
This one?
Yeah, for the pushback.
Cool.
Yeah. Okay, so this is similar to the 727 because on
Yeah.
727 you do ground or whatever, and then when it gets to 25 or 27%, you give it fuel and you wait for everything to be done, and it clicks back to the next one.
And now it's starting kind of slowly, actually. I'm not sure what it's doing here.
And we're disconnected. Signal and pin on the left. Take it easy and have a
There
safe
it
flight.
goes.
Let's go back down.
This is interesting.
Yeah, this is where the simulator may or may not start to fall apart on you. You know what I mean? Where you're like, what the heck? I'm a professional and I can't start the plane in this sim. And there's other, things where people be like, check out the brand new payware blah 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 a whatever, and then real pilot gets in there and they're like, what the heck is this crap? I can't even start it. You know what I mean? It's not unusual at all.
So if we have a problem with the start, we'll just bring this back to cutoff.
Okay.
And let's see what happens. I'm going to go back to auto. And make sure I'm doing everything right here. It may be because this valve is not opening. I'm not sure. Normally you'd be able to start it. I'm going to try to start the left engine, and then we can do a cross bleed start if we need to. So we'll bring this to start. So we see the N2 coming up very rapidly. Basically, this lever just adds fuel. We're kind of looking for a maximum motoring as fast as the air can get it going. I think I'm bringing that into the full position there. That may be our issue. Oh, there we go. Now we're getting a really good start. That's what we're looking for. We never want EGT as a rule of thumb to exceed N2. That's just kind of what I'm looking at as I watch it start. You're watching a lot of parameters.
No, it's coming back down again. He's not supposed to.
Stabilizing. Yeah, no, it should. Yeah, that's normal.
Okay.
That's normal. So that's a
Okay.
stabilized engine start right there.
Okay.
And I'm just gonna verify that thrust levers are at idle.
And that could be the sim. Like there's when I fly the Eclipse a lot, I have to restart like 3-4 times, and that was just sometimes the sim gets an update and it
Sure.
breaks something, and until people report it, they don't know.
Interesting.
So who knows?
I'll bring these probe heats on. We do that after engine start, and then normally if I started the right engine, I would bring the right pack on and give the passenger some air. But we're gonna disregard those pack levers for this start. What's interesting is I don't think that this isolation valve is opening up for some reason, and that's why we've got no pressure in our right duct there.
Ah, okay.
And I think that might be why it didn't start on the right side. Call maintenance.
Yeah.
All right, let's give it another shot over here. So see, this one switched out. What we did is I brought these the power on to this generator, and we'll give it another shot.
So normally, because right now you're doing this all through memory, but
Sure. And
normally you don't do it through memory, right?
No,
You're
normally-
not supposed to. You're
Correct.
No matter how well you know it, you're supposed to be looking off the checklist.
we're almost always by this point we would have done probably at least 3 checklists.
Yep.
There we go. Now we're getting a much more normal
Well, that just
start.
could have been a fluke in the sim. It's like some.
You can blame it on me. That's the thing. I'm kind of going a little bit off script here with.
Sure, of course, and that's understandable.
But yeah, just it's actually kind of fun. All right, so we get a lot of master cautions in the 737 just due to the antiquated system. I've been told that the 737 is a 1965 Chevy with a 1985 panel up here.
Yep.
1985 radio.
I kind of read that the other day because I was with my wife in Mexico. I was researching the 739, and all these. Of course, there's pilot forums and stuff that, and everyone's like, it's just they keep just redressing old technology. They just need to start over with something new, and do.
They do. They
just
do.
do something new. And then I used to watch the Boeing versus Airbus debates on YouTube, and I'm like, I don't have time to get involved in
It's
these
a lot
It's like,
for some reason, it's not giving us any bleed air. I turned the APU bleed. I turned the APU off here, and then I turned the APU bleed to off, which we normally do. Normally, I remember we want 2 down, a little smile here, and a little frown here. That's how I look up at this panel. This panel can be very confusing for people coming from more modern overhead panels.
Sure.
So now I think we've got both engines started and somewhat stabilized. So this time we're going to set our flaps. I'm just going to do flaps.
Here we can do flaps.
Yeah. Oh, sweet.
So it's this right button here.
Awesome.
And then I have my thing printed. Not that you can probably make sense of this in a hurry. But, so like.
Oh yeah.
Those are
Sure.
flaps. Those are those little
beautiful.
things geared up and down. Is the inside one.
Wonderful. That's great.
Just I don't know
So-
if it's going to be helpful when you're.
No, I think that's good. I'm going to set flaps to 5, and then we would do a lot of checklists verifying flap position and trim settings. That's pretty good right there.
The trim wheel is this up and down one here.
Oh, wonderful. Let's see. This trim wheel is a very hazardous. We have auto trim, so it'll just start going sometimes.
Yeah.
So you never want to touch the trim wheel with your leg or your hand, 'cause you never know when it's going to start going. There's a little handle on the side can pop out.
Oh, sure.
It probably won't in the sim, but if you leave it out after practicing emergencies in the sim, it can get you.
See, those are the things I would never know. That's awesome.
All right, that overhead light on the master caution panel is being caused by that the flight recorder for some reason, I believe. Let me make sure we've got this in the right position. Normally this light goes out after engine start.
It's a bug.
Anyway, we'll continue. There it goes.
Oh, and it's back. Oh well.
Well, should we go flying?
Yeah, that's fine.
All right.
So
How do I move back down a little bit? I feel like I'm sitting on that.
So this is the.
Oh, there we go.
Just hit 1 if you can reach around. That's 1.
Sweet.
But then the technically like don't bonk the microphone. All these like things you don't have to worry about. So, do you know the airport well enough that you actually know where you're?
Yeah.
Going?
Yeah. We're gonna take off right over here on 10 left.
Okay.
So.
All right. So here's rudder pedals for you.
All right.
That'll also be your nose wheel. Will be rudder pedals.
Okay. Sweet.
So what you do, whatever you don't bump the red one, it'll kill your engines on
Gotcha.
this.
Just
Obviously
leave them in
props
idle.
don't matter. Yeah, so props and fuel don't touch, but there's your throttle. Tiny
Awesome.
compared to what you're used to. So take the parking brake off here.
Gotcha.
Yeah, then you can move around with that hat switch.
Awesome. And we do kind of a complicated dance. The captain says something like flap lever 1, and I'll say flap lever 1, and then we, or whatever it is, and then we clear the area, and I think we're ready to taxi.
So yes, so
add in a little thrust here.
About
40% into, or 40% N1 is all you need.
And then let's see if that parking brake was off. It is. So it's a simulator, so you might have to goose it, and then once you roll, bring it back.
Gotcha.
Quite possibly.
Yeah, we should normally these should be about 40% right now on our N1s.
Okay.
That's a little bit low. Can we do a quick start and see if that is there a button for quick start?
Yeah, we can do that.
That might.
Let's do.
Just because I did it from. I don't know if it's designed to do it from 0 like that.
Right. Reload. All right, so we're back. We did a cold and dark restart, and so can you tell like what's different or anything?
We've actually got good N1 rotation. That's the big thing.
How about like any switches that are flipped that you didn't?
Oh, it's disconnected and bypass pin has been removed. Hand signal on the left. We'll see you next time and have a safe flight.
You know, I don't.
Everything is how you left it.
These switches weren't on, but those we always bring those on. And all that is that really just turns the pitot heat on.
Yeah, right.
Got our fuel pump switches on. That's funny. The ground power light is still on. That's definitely a glitch because there's no cable long enough to.
There's no cable
in the world. I'm gonna leave this pressurization panel alone.
I have it turned off in the sim anyway,
Cool.
so we're not gonna die.
Awesome.
But yeah, all those switches looked exactly the way you left them. So
yeah. Cool.
Well,
yeah, all the headings and everything.
Let the comments come. There's going to be 20 people now telling you what you did wrong, and they're just armchair pilots. I'll let you know what they say.
I'm gonna turn. Oh, the flight director's got turned off. Let's see. What else? Oh, you know what? That changed a little bit. 103. Normally, we would also set this this speed window to match our performance speed.
Okay.
But 150 is we're within 5 knots of 150 for 90% of our takeoffs. I think that
FMS might have.
Yeah. And sometimes this happens in real life where there's a bad power transfer, or they pull your ground power before you're ready, and everything's gone, and you get to reload it.
But yeah, if and when people comment on what was missed, I'll let you know, and you can tell me.
I would love to know.
Be like, no, sorry, that's. Or you're like, oh yes, I just forgot that, or who knows.
In Seattle, you always come in on the Hawks if you're GPS equipped, and I'm gonna do an ILS to 16 right. That is the normal landing runway in Seattle, and that for that flow, and it's also very scenic. Come right over downtown.
Sure.
So
how much sightseeing do you get to do when you're landing a plane?
Not much. It's funny, sometimes you'll come into an airport that you've landed at 100 times, and you've not been a passenger there maybe more than once, and you'll be looking out the window and say, I never noticed that.
Because that's kind of a running joke in my videos is I'll spend so much time sightseeing on final that I was set up for a great landing, and then I end up spending the last 45 seconds scrambling to get a good landing in because I'm sightseeing too much. I mean, I can always run back the replay and then hop outside and sightsee.
Sure.
But I ain't got time to do it twice.
No. I'm gonna go ahead and turn the auto throttles. Well, I'm interested to see how the auto throttles work.
I was gonna say, see what happens. Yeah. I don't know how much.
Since there's no target for them, I'm not sure if they're gonna actually work. They'll normally go to this little carrot here.
Okay.
We'll see. But I think we're ready to taxi.
All right. So
I just kind of did the normal before takeoff checklist.
Sure.
We would set this to TARA, which is traffic advisors and resolution advisories. So I'll tell you traffic descend now or climb now.
Sure.
Auto throttles on. Get these start switches on continuous for takeoff, and that's about it. Talk to the flight attendants and all that, and
all right.
ready to roll.
All
right.
Get that for parking brake. Get your feet on the rudder pedals.
Parking brake. Here we go.
You can slide that around too. It's not attached to the floor or anything. So again, no toe brakes.
Okay.
Your only brake for all brakes is here. this button back here.
Gotcha.
Reversers if we land without crashing, because I think every real pilot crashes in the sim. If we don't crash, this is your reversers.
Gotcha. Okay,
back
that'll
there.
work well. Can we move the seat down
Yeah, I was
just a
gonna
little
say,
bit?
it looks-
For some reason, it there. That's
Let me
better.
reset that. Yeah.
That's awesome.
All right. This is,
Somebody did get pulled over there.
oh yeah, I'll reset it again here.
That's beautiful right there. That's my view.
So that's pretty accurate then. I mean, without the
That's
peripheral
very
vision.
accurate. Yeah,
okay.
that's very accurate. That's actually about the right depth as well.
Okay. Good to know, because I have no idea.
What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna say that we just got cleared for takeoff.
Yeah.
Just because there's a gang bar and we just really basically turn all the lights on. Wing and a wheel well, and I'm gonna bring this up. Sweet, thanks. Well, what if we're clear for takeoff here? Oh, I need to go. Probably doesn't matter. We're not going to be doing an RTO today, but you never know, right? You never plan on doing an RTO.
So then when you're in the air, whoops, this will bring your flaps up if you go up.
Okay.
This will bring your gear up if you go up.
Okay. That's really all you need.
And normally, as a first officer, you would do that, right?
Yeah. As the pilot monitoring.
Pilot monitoring.
Pilot monitoring. So if you're flying, you call for everything, and that's
Okay.
actually kind of a. That's whoa. Brakes are touchy.
Yeah, they're very touchy.
That's a different thing than guys that come from single seat fighter aircraft struggle with the crew concept sometimes
Okay.
of pilot monitoring is bringing flaps, gear, talking on the radio, and doing work in the box, the FMS.
Okay.
All right, we are clear for takeoff. And there's kind of a dance and a rhythm that goes with all
Yep,
this. So
of
clear to
course,
the right,
yeah.
clear to the left, we're clear for takeoff. Or line up and wait. A lot of times you'll line
Line
up
up and wait, yeah.
just because of traffic volume. Literally, as soon as someone crosses the threshold, you're lining up to wait
Yep.
for them to clear the runway, and then you're clear for takeoff.
And before you flew for a major carrier, you flew out of LAX, right?
I did.
So
I was
you're
based
used to
in LA.
traffic.
I'm going to try to do my best wide body turn here.
I was gonna say, I'm like, you know when to do this. I'm never.
Let's see. Oh, yeah, there we go. Look at that. I overshot it a little bit. All right, I'm going to say we're going to wait for that guy that just took off. All right. Well, what do you think? Should we give it a go?
Let's see.
All right.
I'm excited to see.
Clear for takeoff.
Moment of truth. Your first. This is because obviously you've done the commercial sim, but this is your first time with the home sim, right?
Yes.
All right. Let's see how
Well,
this goes.
I'm just going to do an auto throttles off takeoff, I think. Let's see.
Or are they doing their own thing?
Oh.
Yeah.
The toga button is good. Here we go. All right, get back to the center line here.
So generically speaking, what is your rotate speed usually?
Generically, right about here.
So there's a bug there. There's a bug
Yeah,
there.
there is. All right, look at that. Now we're flying. At 400 feet, I would call for heading select. And then the pilot monitor would hit heading select, and that just gives me guidance.
And then when you do gear and flaps, would you have done them already?
Yep, gear would be for positive rate, gear up. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Is this one?
Yeah.
Yeah, this is very different feeling.
Yeah. You're going to get back
And
to your airplane and be like, this is so much easier.
Yes. And then I'm going to start bringing flaps up. They're not really showing on here, but we have flap trends.
Okay.
And bugs for all the speeds and everything. And normally we would hit VNAV. Let's see if this works. There we go. It's working. It gave me 250 knots.
Right, because below 10,000 feet.
Yep. And it'll just bug that.
And it's going to hunt for it, probably.
It's really all about managing the autopilot.
Mm-hmm. And autopilot's very literal, right? If
It is.
If
If
they
you-
get messed up, it's the pilot, not
Garbage
the,
in, garbage
Yeah,
out.
exactly.
Yeah, I'm gonna turn these.
Of course,
autopilots
things can
off.
malfunction. But.
Sure.
Now, do you have like a double autopilot system in case, or how
We
does that
do.
stuff
Yeah,
work?
this is your A autopilot and B autopilot.
Okay.
So really, it's designed for you to be able to fly with just one generator online.
Okay.
Now we're descending here. I'm gonna tried to get a vertical speed mode and it didn't like that.
Okay.
So now the auto throttles are working, but they're off. So that is a little interesting. But there, it's auto trimming.
This is super fun to see.
If I hit vertical speed, though, see, it's... I don't want that. That's a little dramatic. You know, I want like 0. What's weird is the auto window is resetting.
Mm.
So I'm gonna say let's just get up to, let's say 19,190, and I'm just gonna do a level change climb, which means a full power climb. So see, I've got my auto throttles off and
they're working.
They're working. So yeah, you know, what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna get us going to Battleground VOR here. So Battleground, I bring it up 1 left. Clear that mod there. Battleground. Interesting. It's not letting me do it. This is a slightly different box than we have.
So our climb at 4,500 feet per minute, would that be?
Yeah, that's pretty accurate.
Is
I don't
it
know
really?
what. Depends on what you've got. There we go. This is a different box slightly. So now it wants us to turn left. So I should be able to hit LNAV, and it's going to bring us left towards the Battleground VOR. Yeah, it depends on what the simulator thinks we're weighing right now. But that we could see that.
Okay.
Oh, that's pretty accurate.
And that's comfortable then?
Yeah. It's not comfortable going down.
Right, I was gonna say
that much. Okay. And that will greatly diminish as we climb, and then it'll, when we accelerate above 250 or above 10,000, above 250 knots.
So then
the nose will definitely come down.
Will it automatically increase speed? Do you have a speed setting somewhere so when you hit 10,000 it can speed up, or does it know that?
Normally yes, it's in the climb page right here. We've got a speed restriction 250, and then above it we're going to target 290 and 0.74.
Okay.
Let's see, we're going to come back left here to the Battleground VOR. You know what? Let's not go that far. We can be our own ATC today.
Sure.
This is different because we've got this direct key,
Mm-hmm.
which normally we can do that on the legs page, but you just bring it up here and execute it, and we'll see that line change.
Yep. Okay.
This is not really showing me what we would normally see. We would see it a little bit better portrayed. Oh, you know, that's why it's not doing it. It's doing a interesting. It's doing a different inbound course. Yeah, this is a different box than I'm used to.
Sure.
See how it's building this line here?
Mm-hmm.
We want to be going direct to this fix to join it inbound, and for some reason it's doing a P-pause. That's what it is. P-pause direct to Terra. Execute that. Nope. It still has this line over here that it's climbing for. So we've accelerated to 290, going up to 190. And then I'll just do a quick after takeoff checklist here. We bring these guys back to auto. Hopefully that doesn't kill the engines. No, what?
Did it?
It did. They do a windmill start. We fly around all the time with them in auto.
Right.
They're in auto.
Okay.
Anyway, we're gonna leave them in continuous. Gear would come to not down, but right in the middle is the off position.
You're almost more nervous flying this.
I am. This is scary. Yeah, this is interesting. I am not sure how to get this to go to direct. Let's see. Because we're flying off here on this kind of northerly heading.
Right.
And in LNAV, which is lateral navigation.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe we need some of your old school VOR navigation.
Bring out the slant out.
You can do it here. You bring this guy over to the left, and it shows you your VOR heading and whatever you've got tuned in. But very rarely do we ever fly in that mode.
Do you even... I mean, you fly in and out of VORs based on a flight plan, but you wouldn't yourself these days.
Yeah. It's
like, what do you do, like an NDB
you
approach,
can.
I guess?
We don't even have an NDB receiver. We can do a VOR approach, but we would always overlay it with a GPS.
Okay.
I go to standard here. I don't think we can do it down here on the standby altimeter.
No.
There's our 1,000 to go. I'm gonna stay at 19. That way it's more scenic. You don't see as much up high.
Right.
So yeah, we do an after takeoff checklist. You know, verify that we've got the flaps up, the gear up. The big thing is that we're pressurizing too. We want the big hand to exceed the little hand. We've got a climb rate here. That means the cabin is structurally keeping pressurization, and that's pretty important.
And that's in all airplanes. The big hand needs to stay ahead of the little hand.
Pretty much, yeah. It's a good rule of thumb.
For me, it's like I try to keep it out of the red. I call the red the death zone.
Yeah.
It was like just keep them out of the red. That's all I know about it.
I'm very curious why this is not. And they intentionally. You're trained on one aircraft.
You might have to hand fly it in.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna. I've got it in heading select here. I might just. We're just gonna do.
I've done that before, where I'll just use the heading bug on Autopilot and just use that to guide me around.
Yeah.
Because, like again, you're at the mercy of the sim.
Well, while we're out here, let's turn the Autopilot off. There's Mount St. Helens off to the right. You wanna go do a loop around?
Yeah.
All right, this guy will kill the Autopilot. Whew.
I assume it's a lot touchier than real life.
It is, yeah, but
you're not going to bob up and down just from relaxing your hand.
Yeah. Let's just forget about that and see how she flies. You mind?
Not at all. Go for it. So, in a big plane like this, do you coordinate turns or anything? With the rudder? Okay.
No. The rudder is actually very dangerous in most transport category aircraft, especially the 737. There's a couple incidents of rudder hardover.
Okay. Yeah, I've heard of that.
There was one going into Colorado Springs, and I'm not sure where the other one was, but they still have yet to find a definitive cause for.
Sure.
As I watching whatever the Air Disasters channel.
Right.
All the dramatizations,
Yeah.
but they tell us to be very careful with the rudder because it's mainly designed, and the reason it can go as far as it does is for an engine failure.
Yeah.
So that you have full control authority during an engine failure at full throttle.
Yeah, because that one engine is going to pull you that way,
Exactly.
a yaw that way, so you've got to be able to counteract it.
Otherwise, there was an A300 right after 9/11 that had an accident, and they lost their vertical stabilizer and crashed, and I think it was Queens.
Okay.
They crashed coming out of JFK due to they got into wake turbulence, and the first officer applied full and opposite rudder multiple times, and it max stressed the rudder.
Yeah.
Or the whole elevator, the whole vertical stabilizer.
Now, how about crosswind landings?
You can use a little, yeah, you'll definitely use
just
some.
like you would in a smaller aircraft.
Sure,
Yeah.
sure, and you really only use them in the flare to align yourself with the runway.
At the very last second. Right?
Exactly.
Yeah. Because you're not going to do any slipping or anything in a 737.
No. Let's see how fast this will go.
I have things turned off, so you're not going to, like, you can turn on where, like, you'll lose a wing and you lose a flap and stuff, but I have that turned off.
Wow.
I have it turned off.
What's interesting is the engines are there we go. They were lagging a little bit.
So how about in, like, a smaller aircraft like the 1900D? Would you coordinate turns and something like that?
Not really.
Okay.
And this has a yaw damper.
I don't. I use a yaw damper. But of course, I coordinate turns in my GA aircraft.
Yeah, and it's much more, especially with like P factor and those things with a smaller airplane. It's much more important. Mm-hmm. Just as a side note, we would never do this.
Of course not.
We always fly over Mount St. Helens, and it always looks cool. So,
but not like this. And I'll say that when I'm doing videos, like, just so you know, we are in a restricted area. Flying into the Grand Canyon. And then what you can do is you can hop outside, which makes
beautiful.
it really hard to...
Oh,
pull the mouse down a second. I'll take a
Sure.
screenshot. Let's see. I think it's... Or pull the mouse all the way down.
Oh, gotcha.
And I'm going to try to get a screenshot here. There you go. It's really hard to fly from the outside.
That's awesome.
You might stall. But that's the problem I'll have is I'll be lining up for my final approach, and I'll hop outside to look around, and then I'm in big trouble. And I come back in, I'm like, oh no. Or I'll set up cabin views from the
Sure.
passenger. So like,
Oh, neat.
I'll be like looking outside over the wing, like look at that scenery, and then I'll come back in, and the runway's over to my right. I'm like, oh no.
Let's see.
Is this a realistic bank angle?
We do this in the simulator, yes.
Okay. Because you have to know what to do if.
Sure. And yeah, it's losing a lot of airspeed, but we're still climbing. So there's a Mount Rainier. So I'll tell you what we'll do. We'll just we'll fly over towards Mount Rainier and then line up for Seattle.
Perfect.
It's just kind of fun just to
Yeah, do stuff you
nobody's telling you where to go or
right. And the scenery is realistic enough that you can kind of play around with it. Like you know what you're looking for. I've never been out in this area, but you know what you're looking for and stuff. But I assume this is realistic in a real. Hang on a second. I'm going to pause it.
The real world weather kicked in.
Yep, I forgot about that. But yeah, so I assume it's reasonably realistic, right?
It is very, very realistic. It's amazing how much we rely on flight directors and automation to fly really nicely.
Yeah.
We would never really fly around with that much thrust, actually. It's more around 90%. This is your trim wheel, right?
Yeah, trim wheel. Oh, that's right. I forgot your hand flying.
Trying to hand fly.
So I remember you told me before you flew for the big leagues, when you flew like the E's and whatever, you hand flew a lot.
I did. There's more restrictions at my current company.
Mm-hmm.
We encourage flying certain phases of flight for proficiency, but we flew the same route so often in the Embraer that you would just hand fly to stay alert, engaged, and it was actually a lot of fun.
Mm-hmm.
I would fly the entire arrivals into Los Angeles with no flight director, no autopilot.
And it was legal and everything.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yep. All right.
It's just a lot of work, and it
Yeah.
changes the flight deck dynamic too, because the other guy has to do a lot more work to watch you.
Yeah.
All right,
So-
let's see if I can maintain heading, altitude, and airspeed here.
How soon would you engage autopilot in this aircraft?
Normally, the lowest we can engage is 400 feet on takeoff, but most guys probably somewhere between 1,000 feet and 10,000 feet.
Okay.
I like to fly up through the speed increase over 10,000, just because I think it's smoother.
Yeah.
Sometimes the autopilot will really pitch down for 320 knots, which we might.
And it does that in the sim. Like when I'm using the 727, you have to be careful because if it's very literal and it'll nose you straight down to get that speed, even though it's not much more, and then it noses you back up, and then you know what I mean.
Yeah.
So you gotta be very smooth and careful. Like I'll move my bugs very slowly so that it's smooth.
The other thing I'm doing is I'm doing both pilots' job here of looking at other stuff and
Yeah. That's the thing too about simulator. Like the 727 is a 3-person aircraft. So sometimes I'll screw something up and people call me out in the comments. I'm like, you realize this is a 3-person aircraft, right?
the flight engineer would be, getting the drinks for everybody, getting coffee, non-alcoholic drinks.
Right. So then in this aircraft, when would you disengage autopilot? Assuming you're not doing like a Cat 3 landing, of course.
Yeah. Normally I like to disengage somewhere right around 1,000 feet to go.
Okay.
Normally by that time the autopilot's kind of got the approach nice and dialed in for you.
Yep.
And you're on a stabilized approach path. It's very good to know how they really train you to operate the aircraft in most phases of flight versus flying it.
Mm-hmm.
And that just really involves procedural use of the autopilot, and that allows for much safer flight in the opinion of most flight departments, just because there's a series of button pushes that you do to achieve the same outcome every time versus hand flying. So any time you're in IMC, we're really supposed to have the autopilot on.
Oh, okay, sure.
Unless it's a HUD guided approach, at which you turn it off.
And then, does your 738 Autoland?
It does.
It does.
Yep.
And you
I
have
can,
to do it to keep it certified, right?
Yes. Yeah. Well, sometimes in a flight plan remarks, it will say Autoland required for currency. And if you can do it, you should. And sometimes you can't do it based on some runways aren't certified for
exactly,
it. And
right. And you have to let them know, right? Because they have to move traffic back.
Yeah.
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 Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, you could get false signals and then end up going around.
Right. And then, how often in real life? How often is a go around? Because I'm on a Facebook group of airplane spotters in real life, and they're always freaking out about go arounds. Why to go around? Why to go around? But it's like a dozen times a day.
Yeah.
So what?
In my over 4,000 hours of flying in real, well, you've got two different kinds. There's probably more than that, but two major kinds of go arounds. One's going to be your missed approach from you fly to minimums, don't see anything, and you go around.
Yeah.
That's pretty rare, really.
Okay.
I'm gonna turn this autopilot on because I'm looking at all sorts of other stuff. I'm embarrassing myself. This is way more sensitive. And then the other kind of go around would be a traffic-induced go around or an ETC go around for spacing or something.
Sure.
And the spacing ETC go arounds are much more common.
Okay.
I've done maybe 2 approaches to minimums. One actually was on my very last trip into San Diego, and they told us we're landing 27. The next thing you know, they're going. Some guy went around and they're switching the airport up to 9, and then they said no, it's cleared up now. You should be able to get in back to 27. And we got down to minimums. Nothing went around. But normally, go-arounds, we train a lot of them. They're really not a big deal. The key is making sure that right here on your pilot, the pilot monitoring is making sure that TOGA, takeoff go-around thrust, is set. Yeah. And beyond just looking here, you want to make sure that the flight director, the airplane's been pitched up, so pitch, and that power's been set. Those are the two big key things. I think it's probably time to start down here. The airport is right over in this area.
We'll land just in time to hear my kids screaming in the background. One of the rare moments I'm recording before 10 at night. I do a lot of midnight recordings.
Wow.
Because I gotta get the kids in bed, and then I hang out with my wife, and then flight planning I do all manual flight planning. I just love it so much. Like with Slant Alpha and everything, I manually flight plan everything, and it takes a while. And then by the time I fly, it's like 11 at night, so I'm not used to my kids screaming in the background.
Wow.
And today being the time change, daylight saving time, they're like, they're
brutal.
The daylight's going to keep them up late. Oh, yeah, being a parent with DST is it's very challenging.
I grew up in Indiana, and we didn't have that.
That's right,
so
yeah, that's right.
It's very different. Is there a way I can see the other radio panel here? Oh, perfect. This is definitely one of the limitations of the sim, because I tune and hand fly at the same time. Or you can tune and hand. It's very easy to divide duties, but below glide slope. Okay, that's very rare. You never would see that really. But just because there's Seattle right there, and I'm gonna go ahead and start us down. Let's say we're cleared down to, let's say 5,000. I'm gonna try this vertical. See, that's definitely a bug, because this altitude would stay. What it did is it threw us in level change. Vertical speed, you set an actual vertical speed.
Exactly.
Anyway, that's a recipe for a disaster to have it set like that. So. We'll just call it 4. And then level change is just idle thrust. So you see where this is a very uncomfortable descent rate.
What would be a comfortable? Like I always shoot for 1,000 to 1,500.
Yeah. That's much more. See, the auto throttles are doing their thing again, which is interesting. I think here's what I think when you turn the autopilot on. I think it's doing auto throttles as well.
Like it's like the sim software.
Sure,
just written
exactly. It's just kind of giving you an easier. Anytime you hit level change, it's bringing this down too.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to use the autopilot to manage.
Right.
We call it threat and error management at my airline, of managing threats actively to so that you're able. You want to use automation so that you're able to monitor other factors of the operation.
Did you put auto brakes on 3? Because that's what I
did.
use.
Yep, auto brakes 3. Normally I'll come in here and set off landing flaps for 30. I think I did see arrival data. Okay, No, 1.6 right. That does have the frequency localizer. Okay. The localizer is 164 in the real world. It's 165, I think, here in the sim. But
And I am flying with outdated data.
well, stuff changes.
If the magnetic heading changed, or if the heading changed, then it's not going to be right.
There's some speed breaks. Now we're really coming
then
down.
I have this up, so this is speed breaks
Oh.
out, and then speed breaks
breaks up.
in, and if you go all the way in, it arms them.
Oh.
Spoilers.
Love it. I'm just gonna look at that. Speed brakes armed. Ah, that's cool. We'll just get ourselves down here and then loop around, and I'm just gonna do a manual visual approach to 16 right. I'm not sure that it's gonna give me guidance on the flight director, but we'll see.
So normally you wouldn't be approaching at 18,000 feet like this, right?
No, no, and we're gonna be speeding below 10 because for some reason, there we go. That's how you. Since it's in level change, it's gonna just pitch for that airspeed.
Yeah.
And it would not pitch that aggressively in the real airplane. See, it's climbing now to hit the
Yeah.
airspeed. It would not.
I've
do
always
that.
wondered that, because in the 727, same thing. I do any changes, like going way up, I'm like, you'd think it'd be smarter than that, but maybe not.
Yeah, it won't do that. It will almost arrest the climb, and a lot of times you'll get a clearance that'll say slow to 250 and then continue your descent. And so you can use level change in that scenario. But there's a lot of different ways to work this panel, and I don't see, like, VNAV is just giving me 290 knots, which I don't want 290 knots. So I really want to turn VNAV off, and then level change is just going to fly whatever speed I command here in the speed window, which is 250. And you know what? I'm just going to do 240 so we get into flap speed range. So normally there's a I think it's called the Bay visual. Let's see, I'll pull it up here. Bay visual approach. So it'll bring you right, like, right here on the Puget Sound, right through the Puget Sound, and then 3,000 feet. So I'm gonna say we're cleared to 3,000 and cleared for the visual approach to 16 right.
That's how I am in this. I'm like, we're gonna say we're cleared because there's no one here to tell me.
Nobody else is. Nobody's here.
I don't know if you're familiar with this, but there's places like Pilot Edge where you have a subscription with real ATC. Will guide you in the sim, and it's out in. Oh gosh, everybody's gonna hate me because I really should know better, but I don't fly ATC, so it's like in the Vegas area.
Wow.
And it's, my understanding is it's ATC in training.
And they can do it for their own training.
And ATC hobbyists and ATC who are professionals that just like it so much they do it as a hobby too. That's my understanding. We can Google it later, but it's real people. And so you watch these Twitch streams and you recognize the voices, and they're fantastic to listen to.
Wow.
And the sim pilots are so good doing it back, because they do it all the time. And people love doing the visual approach into Vegas, because I guess Vegas is a visual approach or something.
Yes, yeah, they do a visual to 19 right,
Yeah.
and then I also do the visual to 26 left. Vegas is very tricky. Can be tricky.
So yeah, Google Pilot Edge sometime. Or like Pilot Edge sim videos on YouTube, and you'll feel right at home. It's amazing. And then you just connect with an account, and then it's all.
That's all there.
And the squawk code and everything is in the sim connected, and your call sign and everything. You set it all up ahead of time. And
Wow.
if you really want to get into it. And because it's a paid service, they don't get trolls and stuff, and they can ban you and stuff. Because there are free ones too.
Because you're taking up somebody else's time to do something.
But
service.
There are free. I believe there's free ATC, but I think they get. I don't know. See, I've only heard of Pilot Edge because X-Plane draws a different crowd than P3D or FSX,
Sure.
Flight Stop Limited.
This is much more, I think, realistic.
Yeah, and that's the general consensus. And then you have to do a lot of your own research. So when I started with Microsoft Flight Simulator pre-2004, and there would be tutorials and like guided flights and scenarios. But X-Plane, you get X-Plane, and you got a cold and dark Cessna, and it doesn't tell you. I mean, now there's a little bit now compared to what X-Plane 9 and 10 used to be. This is X-Plane 11, but it used to be you just get in there. If you didn't know anything, you would Google. So I would have Google up on one monitor and learning how to do things. I just taught everything I do. I taught myself. But I'll watch real pilot videos on YouTube, and I understand every word they're saying. Like,
That's awesome.
Especially the GA guys.
That's how this is designed.
Yeah. Like, I know all the terminology. Like, everything you're doing, I know. Like, I wouldn't know what to click on to get certain things to pop up, but I know exactly what you're doing. Everything you're doing.
That's awesome.
And it's all
just because of Pilot Edge.
No, because of the flight simulator
sure.
and researching what I need to know. Like, I'd be like, what does this do? And then that opens up a can of worms, and I research every worm in that can, and then it opens up something else. But I myself, I've never used Pilot Edge ever. I'm too intimidated by it, which I know people are going to roll their eyes. But with I mostly do GA and just GPS stuff. And I just vector myself in.
Oh, that
but
goes
yeah,
the gear.
for the full immersion experience.
I'm not sure why the engines are still there's a little glitchy going on.
Or are they still too much?
It's almost like there's auto throttles on still
Huh.
for some reason. But I kind of.
Oh, there's Seattle over there.
Yeah, this is Boeing Field below us.
Oh.
Yeah, that's another reason I thought it'd be fun. We overflying the home of the Boeing.
Would you normally fly this close to this airport?
Yes, we come,
Long
and
as-
actually, I'm kind of cutting the corner here.
Okay.
I'm right above the glide slope, but normally it'd be a little further to the left.
Right.
And,
So you'd be pretty close to that airport then.
you come right over it. What's actually interesting is I've had to do a go around because of
Because of
other
that
traffic
airport?
coming
Yep.
out of there, which is interesting. So there's flaps 15 and gear down, which is kind of our final configuration marker speed.
Okay.
And then 25 and 30, and then a landing checklist, and you're coming in. So there's 25.
So then your auto brakes are on, and then your reversers are that button behind the thing there.
Awesome.
Just so you're ready.
I'm just gonna do about 150 over the fence.
So do you see anywhere on here what the flaps are set to, or do you have to look down?
It's right here.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's beautiful. And we're a little bit high because I'm.
The Pappy, which
Yeah.
I rely on a lot. And then you'll probably have trees and power lines in the way. There's no collision, so you can hit anything.
Oh, gotcha.
Because, I mean, I fly through trees all the time at the end of runways. Like,
Oh.
the Pappy will be 2 and 2, and then I go right through a bunch of trees. But it's just the nature of the simulator. Like, when they build, like, somebody hand designed this. This is a default. This was probably designed by X-Pane. I can't remember who designed the SeaTac. This is SeaTac, right?
Yep.
Yeah, I don't know who designed this one, but when you design an aircraft for the sim, or an airport, you're supposed to put like a block out.
Oh yeah,
block
a
out.
safe way area. or
Yeah,
something.
like a safe zone where
Because there is a zone
where
right
stuff,
there.
yeah, where stuff won't get in your way.
What's interesting is I don't know if these throttles are. They're a little bit.
Yeah, because normally you wouldn't have throttles at 50, right? I assume not.
Actually, that's very normal.
Is it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Ooh, it's pitchy. It's
You're gonna land better than me. What the heck?
very pitchy.
What the heck is this? Well, no, maybe not. You're bouncing the nose wheel.
The brakes are just on and off. That's funny.
Yeah, well, there's 3 settings of brakes. There's low, medium, and hard. And these are set to hard because the B1900D won't stop with anything else. And that's what I fly most.
Yeah.
And I could go in and reset them every single time and do different profiles. So that's my fault for not thinking about that. Because the B1900D won't go below 40 or 20 knots or something if you don't have hardness braking on.
Gotcha. I see what it was. I thought the engines keep spooling up like full reverse.
Oh, weird. Yeah, that's definitely glitchy stuff. It's never. It's not supposed to be that complicated.
Yeah, they keep
They are. They're trying
trying to kill me. Oh, there. Maybe that's. They should go down to like 30.
I don't know.
Come on. They should not be doing that. Ah! Wait, where was the parking brake? Oh, right here.
Yeah. Except
They're dragging it.
Yeah. In fact,
We're clear to cross.
There's this new airplane I tried the other day, and I was doing a run-up based on the POH. And when you spool up the engines, the parking brake isn't strong enough, and it just starts going, even though it's supposed to be doing your run-up.
Maybe it's this speed. There. It was something to do with the something with this onboard autopilot thought that it wanted thrust.
Which in real life that would
never happen.
Okay.
Yeah, but you would turn the auto throttles, and which they were off, but I
Right.
think that for some reason when any guidance mode up here is activated, the difference between it, and this is kind of interesting. You can use all of these to program your flight director. And right now it says FD. If I come up here and turn an autopilot on, it says command.
Okay.
And that means now the autopilot's driving. If it says FD, you're driving.
Right. Okay.
So that's just the only difference, and that's what it's using some autopilot stuff that shouldn't be on. So now I think we're back to normal, except the speed brakes are extended, and the captain normally just grabs those guys. Oh yeah, that's right.
There we go.
Grabs those guys.
Those speed brake armed, they're not. I backed them off a level. Whatever.
Anyway, we can taxi around here a little bit.
This is so much fun.
This is really cool. I'd love to see a instant replay of my pitchy, bouncy nose wheel
we can
landing.
play it back as soon as we park.
Because the pitch on this is incredibly sensitive.
Well, see, that's the thing too. Is I have the profile set up because the freeware aircraft and the payware aircraft are completely different.
Sure.
So the payware aircraft, you have all your sliders set to 0 and you let the designer
Do their
determine
thing.
all that. And you can set profiles. This has 3 profiles, but then in the sim you can do every single profile for every aircraft. I just
Gotcha.
don't, because I use payware aircraft and they're all similar enough. So I could have spent an hour, not an hour, I could have spent 20 minutes redoing all that for you for this, but I mean, I don't want to worry about that. I want to talk about the meat and potatoes part of it.
This is it's a very good model. I feel like it.
And
I
this
felt at
comes
home
with-
in a lot of ways. Sometimes I'm like, what is it doing? But
Right.
other than that, really, it's very
And then sometime maybe I will take the time to get the ZIBO mod. It's supposed to make it even more realistic, and then supposedly real pilots with these mods you can install. I think it's just the greatest thing since sliced bread. I don't know enough about it to have an opinion, but
It's actually kind of fun to taxi around.
it is.
I like your rudder pedals.
They're really nice, aren't they?
Free shout out to whoever manufactured those. Yeah, these they're very nice because you can.
You just ran over Biggest cart. See?
I just drove right through us. They're nice because you can apply pressure to both at the same time.
Yes.
And that's very realistic what you do in the real airplane.
Yeah, there's a cam in there. So actually, you're not actually doing pressure to both. It's tricking you into feeling like that, which is the point.
Yeah.
Which is the point, to make you think like you are. People complain they don't have toe brakes, but you can do a keyboard hotkey if you want to.
Sure.
But I mean, I assume in real life you would use toe brakes on
little
this
bit.
plane a little bit, but yeah. So who normally would pull up the aircraft? You or
Captain.
The captain?
Yep.
Okay.
I'm gonna assume that set my parking brake. Whoops. There we go. Brake set.
Yeah.
Let them up. Swap chop. Let them in.
Then you would have like a guy.
And then it's like crazy.
So before you shut it down, let's do the replay, because if you shut it down, it'll bug out. All right, so here we are coming in, and then you can move the cameras around. Let me move my mouse down here. So the real weather. No, I think when we adjusted the cloud, I think it turned the wind off. But there's even a wind flex and stuff. Look at that.
So cool.
And then another aircraft, I'd have like passenger view set up. So when you land, you do the replays. And you can do like runway view. Runway view.
That's cool.
Runway view, like
That's
that.
the ultimate spotter view.
Mm-hmm. Let's hop out here so you can watch your. But considering.
Yeah, that was kind of a.
Just the
That was
front
kind of a bad landing.
Just the front was down and the back were up. But considering you have never done a home sim,
Yeah.
that was your first home sim landing, that was pretty spectacular. Because there's people who have been simming for years and they can't land a plane. I used to be really bad. That was the last thing I learned how to do, was actually land properly. Because I was so busy playing with all the switches and the scenery and everything.
Sure.
And I'm way better now, but now I always land left to center line. That's like the running joke on my YouTube channel, is I always land left of center. It's like the way I'm perceiving the 2D-ness of it, is I can't seem to get on the center line. I'm always left. Then this is where your
Fighting
engines were screwed up. So then we hop back to real time, and there we are outside.
Tremendous.
So now it's inside. So if we were to shut this down, now how much do you do, and how much do you leave and someone else? Like when you start the airplane, like you said,
everything.
Okay, because when you start, a lot of it's already done for you, which I knew that. But when you leave, when you're shutting down, or how much?
You really just kind of leave a blank canvas, but you leave it turned on.
Okay.
So you'll want to, I kind of do a flow from the bottom. I reset the squawk code here for the next guy. Make sure the trim wheel is...
You're going to have to spin it for a long time. We'll just pretend.
We set it back to 5.
Okay.
I just now brought the flaps up because we were distracted with the engines.
Yeah, with the engines, yeah.
Flaps up, and then we turn the flight directors off.
Okay.
That just kind of resets everything with the guidance system for the next guy. It's saying the speed brakes are extended, but I don't. There they go. There they go. We're just looking for really lights, and then we'd I turn off all but one center fuel pump if there's fuel left there, or one. These don't move together in the real plane; they're all individual. I've started the APU on the way in, so that we can shut the engines down before they hook up the power.
Yeah.
But you know what? They've done such a great job. They've already hooked up our ground power. Boom.
Now I've heard that some airports aren't allowing APUs anymore. Is that inaccurate then? Is that just internet buzz?
Yeah. I mean, that might be international. I'm not familiar with that, but all these come off. I have not encountered that. It would be very difficult. I mean, it's expensive to run them.
Right.
No doubt.
Yeah. And
now that we're on, so basically, the before you shut the engines on, all you really have to do is make sure you've got power on the airplane, because you don't want it to go dark. And just cut them off.
So engines turn off, blank canvas, but what is left on? So like when we started the sim, it was off, which normally you don't see.
Yeah.
What is normally on when you?
It's just all of the computers are ready to be loaded.
Okay.
All these screens are going to be still on.
Okay.
But you've kind of left these. This is all ready to be set up for the next flight. Like I should have this would have come off exiting the runway.
Yeah.
The anti-collision light, that's the beacon. That would have come off to let the ramp guys come in and pull off bags, hook up power, all that stuff. And then the big thing, my job is to get air for the passengers once we get the APU going. But we're gonna pretend that.
And that's why when you're a passenger and it's dark, the lights will like go off and on again, right? Because you
hear.
Yeah.
Because these are just like contactors. Yeah.
You're changing the power source.
And I think I said that earlier somewhere that if there's a hard power transfer, and that's what it goes.
Okay.
And it's literally switching over to another. Because
everyone like freaks out, and I'm like, have they ever been on a plane before?
Yeah. So this is basically how we leave it.
Okay.
There's still a flight plan in here, but it dumps out after we land.
Okay.
On the airplane that I fly. Normally, it would just be blank, and then they would be able to come back in here and reinitialize.
Okay.
They would do another quick align instead of a full align with these IRUs. And basically what we want to turn off is anything that's going to either hurt ground personnel, burn gas, or burn out.
So right now what we're looking at would be GPU.
Correct.
Okay.
Yep, GPU power.
Okay.
And if there was APU power available but not in use, this light would be on.
Okay.
These lights, illuminated green or blue lights, mean that
that's your power available.
And it's not selected.
Okay.
This light will always be on even if it is selected, just because that's just how it's designed. So
one thing I was curious about, if you go down to the yoke.
Yeah.
So it says 738 because it's a 738, but what is that in real life? Right there.
It is literally just a memory device.
Okay.
You can just plug in whatever numbers you want in there to help you remember your flight number.
Okay.
Because that's actually something when you're flying, say, a corporate aircraft. It's the same tail number all the time.
Right.
I might have 3 flights in a day, and they're all the different call signs.
Right,
so you've got to kind of reprogram your mind to listen for that on the radio. And so that's a good way to just kind of remember.
So that's what that's for.
Yeah.
And then you go by tail number, not flight number.
We go by flight number.
You go by flight number.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. So it's always the tail number on.
The tail number is right down there.
Yep.
In this sim.
Exactly what ours look like. I think that's a Boeing plaque.
Okay.
That's the tail number. We also have a ship number. Most airlines will assign a ship number, which is some variation on the tail number.
Okay.
That's a cell call code for normally for HF.
But you then, so like, I think my wife flew down on, I think it was like Delta 501 or something.
Sure.
If you were for that company and you flew my wife, for example, you'd be like Delta 501.
Exactly.
You wouldn't say November, blah 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 blah.
Correct. Yep.
Oh,
The
okay.
call sign would be Delta or Southwest or American.
Because like GA, they say tail numbers.
Exactly. Because
Okay.
they haven't incorporated their flight department with the FAA to get a call sign.
Okay. Okay.
So once you get a call sign, then yeah, it's your designated flight number,
Okay.
and that's who you are.
Gotcha. Okay. So anyway, thank you for watching the video. We certainly had a fun time making the video. This pilot friend of mine lives close by, actually, so I'm hoping to have him back, and hopefully we will do this. I really want to show him the 727 and show him how I fly that. He can like tell me all the things I've been doing wrong for all these years, and then GA stuff, and there's all these things we can do. So hopefully you enjoy the flight. If you're already a subscriber, thank you for continuing support. If you find by accident, please like, please subscribe, please share with your friends. I don't know what I'm doing next because I have my flight plans and they're all complicated mountain flights. I just got to find the time, but I'll be flying again soon. Hope to see you soon, and I'll catch you on the next one.